So with that time, I got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 3 about to be released in April. I'm sure some of you probably don't have time to rewatch the entire series. That's why I'll be doing a 2-part recap for Seasons 1 and 2 of the anime to help refresh everyone's memory on the events leading into Season 3. But before we start, if you enjoyed this recap video, feel free to leave a like and help subscribe to the channel as well.
待たせたわね。それでは始めましょう。
Now then, the series begins by introducing us to Satoru Mikami, the previous identity of Rimuru, and how after he was stabbed by a random criminal, his soul ended up being transported to the Tensura world. When he awakens inside the Silk Cave, Satoru would discover that he has been reincarnated as a slime, and having learned about the existence of the Great Sage inside of him, he would eventually stumble upon the Storm Dragon Valdora who was trapped inside the Infinity Prison of the Chosen Hero. He and the dragon then decide to become friends, so wanting to free his new friend, Satoru suggested that he would consume Valdora along with the Infinity Prison, and using Great Sage to slowly analyze how to disable the spell. But before that, Valdora would give Satoru the name Rimuru, and the newly named slime was the one that thought of using Tempest as their family name. So with that, Rimuru proceeded to consume the Infinity Prison using Predator and made his way out of the Silk Cave. Upon reaching the exit, he encounters Eren, Guido, and Kaval, who were sent by Fuse to investigate the disappearance of the Storm Dragon in the Great Jura Forest. And because Rimuru was afraid they might be hostile, he chose to sneak past them, and once he was outside, he was approached by a group of goblins who requested for his help to repel a pack of direwolves that planned on attacking their village. Rimuru agrees to help the goblins after meeting with the village chief, and they are able to defeat the direwolf pack. Afterwards, the surviving direwolves would join the village, so Rimuru decided to give everyone names, and with some notable names being the Goblin Chief Rigurd, his son Rigger, the Goblin Gopta, and the son of the direwolf boss was named Ranga. The naming also caused the goblins to evolve into hobgoblins while the direwolves evolved into tempest wolves. In any case, the village needed more accommodations and clothing, so Rimuru traveled to the armed nation of Dragon to hire some skilled workers for the village. However, before he and Gopta entered the city, Rimuru ended up fighting some thugs, so both of them were promptly arrested. But thanks to the healing potion that Rimuru provided to Kaido, he was released from prison and introduced to Kaijin and the Dwarven brothers Gum, Dot, and Might. Rimuru then explained how his village needed an architect for construction and craftsmen to teach the hobgoblins, but Kaijin could not accept his offer because he was busy with an order from the minister Vesta. So Rimuru decided to help Kaijin complete the order by replicating the magic swords, and seeing this, he accepted Rimuru's request. Kaijin later brought Rimuru to an elven bar to celebrate, and it was here that he was able to learn about Shizue Izawa, the person he was fated to be with. But their party was interrupted by Vesta, and he was punched by Kaijin when he disrespected Rimuru. Not long after, they were all arrested by Kaido and put on trial. When the trial started, the Hero King Geyser Dwargo was present for the proceedings, and he ultimately decided to exile Rimuru along with the dwarves. Following the exile, Rimuru returned to the village with the dwarves, and Kaijin would start teaching the hobgoblins how to make tools and weapons, while Gun taught them how to make proper clothing. Dot would also teach them craftsmanship, and Mike guided them on how to construct buildings. And the village had grown much larger because the nearby goblin villagers decided to join Rimuru as well, so he gave them all names, and had a former goblin chief serving as Rigurd's goblin lords, while Rigurd himself became the king of goblins. That said, we see Eren, Guido, and Kaval inside the Great Jura Forest again because Fuse ordered them to continue with their investigation on the Storm Dragon, although this time they are joined by Shizue. And after being saved by Rimuru from some giant fire ants, they were invited back to his village, and it's here Rimuru would discover that Shizue was also a Japanese otherworlder like him. They both easily bonded over this fact, and he even shared some memories of Japan with her. After this heartfelt moment, we are shown a brief flashback of her tragic past, how she was summoned to the world by the Demon Lord Leon Cromwell and was forced to fuse to the greater fire spirit Ifrit. And despite her initial terrible experience in the Tensura world, she was eventually saved by the chosen hero who also taught Shizue how to control and suppress Ifrit. However, Shizue started to lose control over Ifrit when she grew older, and the breaking point was during her stay in Rimuru's village. Luckily, Rimuru was able to defeat the fire spirit and freeing Shizue from Ifrit's control, but this left her greatly weakened, and before Shizue died, she requested for Rimuru to one day help convey her feelings back to Leon, and that she also wishes to die among the memories of her homeland, so Rimuru decided to lay her to rest within his body. And having consumed Shizue, Rimuru had acquired a human form, resembling a slightly younger version of Shizue but with blue hair and golden eyes. Moving on, we now go into the Orc Disaster storyline, and we will briefly see the Margin Gelman giving the name Gel to the future Orc Disaster. But back to Rimuru's village, development was progressing nicely, and Rimuru will be testing some new abilities he acquired from consuming Shizue and Ifrit inside the Silk Cave. Although when Ranga informed him that their hunting party was being attacked by 6 ogres, Rimuru relieved and quickly went to that location where he found that most of the hobgoblins had been put to sleep by a pink ogre. He left the pink ogre to Ranga while he easily dealt with the remaining 5, and before the battle escalated with the red ogre, the pink ogre manages to stop the battle. Once the misunderstanding was resolved, Rimuru invited the 6 ogres back to his village, and the red ogre revealed that his tribe was slaughtered by the orcs, so they wished to avenge their fallen people. Hearing this, Rimuru offered the ogres a place in his village, and the red ogre decided to accept the offer, so they are all given names. The red ogre was named Benimaru, his younger sister was named Shuna, the purple female ogre was named Shion, the elderly ogre was named Hakuro, the remaining 2 male ogres were named Sowe and Kurobe respectively. The naming process will allow the ogres to evolve into Kijins, and after the naming, they were able to easily integrate into the village, with Hakuro training the hobgoblins while Shuna worked with Gum and Dot, and Kurobe worked with Kaijin. Sowe was also helping the goblin riders reinforce the security of the village, and Benimaru was making preparations to fight the orc army. Shion on the other hand declared herself as Rimuru's personal assistant, so she was with him most of the time, even cooking some very dangerous meals for him. But to continue, going over to the Lizardman village near Lake Sis, the chieftain revealed that the orc army was likely led by an orc lord, so he ordered his son Gabiru to rally the various goblin tribes in the Great Jura Forest to fight against this upcoming threat. After he recruited several goblin tribes, Gabiru eventually made his way to Rimuru's village, but he and his subordinates were forced to run away when Gokta managed to defeat him. Not long after the fight with Gabiru, Sowe would return from his scouting mission to inform Rimuru and the others about the movement of the orc army, but they were interrupted by the arrival of the Dryad trainee who requested that Rimuru help defeat the orc army. Rimuru reluctantly agreed to trainee's request, so he ordered Sowe to negotiate with the Lizardman tribe about forming an alliance. The Lizardman chieftain decided to accept the proposal when he saw how strong Sowe was, but before Rimuru's forces were able to arrive, Gabiru had overthrown his father and was now leading the Lizardman to fight the orc army outside. And even though they were initially doing well against the orc army, the Lizardman forces would slowly get overwhelmed by the enemy forces. Meanwhile, Rimuru's forces were making their way towards Lake Sis when they encountered the Lizardman guard captain fighting a bunch of orcs, and after saving her, Rimuru sent Sowe to rescue the chieftain while Gokta along with Ranga and the goblin riders went ahead to rescue Gabiru. Benimaru, Shion and Hakuro will arrive on the battlefield as well, and much of the orc army was destroyed by them. It was also during this battle that Ranga manages to evolve into a Tempest Star Wolf. Anyways, after a brief encounter with trainee inside the forest, Gelmet soon came to the battlefield as well and ordered the Orc Lord to kill everyone. However, Gel decided to ignore Gelmet's orders, choosing instead to kill and consume him, which allowed Gel to evolve into an Orc Disaster. Afterwards, Rimuru and Gel will start fighting, but ultimately, Rimuru was the stronger fighter and using Predator, he was able to consume the newly evolved Orc Disaster. Rimuru will also heal Gel's corrupted mind, and the Orc Disaster finally died in peace when Rimuru stated that he would shoulder all the sins of Gel's people. With that, the orcs were freed from the effects of staff, and later a meeting was held between Rimuru's forces, the Lizardman and the remnants of the orc army. It was during this meeting that everyone agreed to help the orcs resettle within the Great Jura Forest, and all the parties present will be forming the Jura Forest Alliance with Rimuru serving as the Chancellor. After the meeting, Rimuru gave names to all the orcs which caused them to evolve into High Orcs. Also, the son of the deceased Orc Disaster was named Gel to honor his father, and he was declared the Orc King. As for the Lizardman, the chieftain had received the name of Abiru, while his daughter, the guard captain, was given the name of Sokka, and she was placed under the command of Sowe. Furthermore, when Gabiru was exiled from the Lizardman tribe, he begged Rimuru to accept him and he would be named by Rimuru once more. All the Lizardmen would then evolve into Dragonutes, and the ones following Gabiru were all put to work inside the Silk Cave cultivating the Hippocute herb. Nonetheless, 3 months after the Orc Disaster incident, Rimuru's village has now grown into a proper town thanks to the High Orcs, but they will soon be invaded by an army of Pegasus Knights led by Geyser Dwargo. The Dwarven king had wanted to determine the intentions of Rimuru, so he challenged Rimuru to a fight with trainees serving as the observer. After testing Rimuru's skills, Geyser concluded that Rimuru and his monster town were not hostile, so he proposes to form diplomatic relations, and this would be the official founding of the Jura Tempest Federation, and the capital was named Tempest. After the alliance was established, Geyser would return to Dwargon but soon returned a few days later with Vesta, and the former minister would apologize to Rimuru. Vesta was allowed to work as a researcher alongside the Dragonutes inside the Silk Cave, being responsible for synthesizing Hippocute herbs into healing potions. That said, Tempest will have another visitor soon, and she was the Demon Lord Milim Nava, who wanted to meet the Margin that defeated the Orc Disaster. When she arrived, she proceeded to defeat all of Rimuru's top subordinates with ease, but she was stopped when she tasted some of the honey produced by Apito, and because of all the tasty food that can be found in Tempest, Milim decided to live there, even becoming besties with Rimuru. But aside from Milim, Demon Lord Karen would send Phobio, one of his biscuiteers, to visit Tempest as well. However, Phobio came with the intention of conquering the monster nation for his master but was promptly defeated by Milim. He was then questioned by Rimuru for the purpose of his visit, and later he would be sent back home to his master. This embarrassing defeat greatly angered Phobio, and he would be approached by Footman and Tyr, who offered him a chance to take revenge against Milim by fusing with Charybdis, to which he accepted. Now, before the incident with Charybdis, Tempest was visited by the Frontier Survey Corps led by Yom, and they were also joined by Fuse along with Aaron's party. And after an encounter with a Night Spider, they were escorted back to Tempest by Gupta's Goblin Riders, where Yom's team would meet with Rimuru. That's because Rimuru planned on hiring Yom's team, have them take credit for defeating the Orc disaster, and how they were assisted by Tempest to improve the image of monsters. Yom would eventually accept Rimuru's proposal after spending time in Tempest, and Fuse was asked to help in promoting this story as well. And speaking of Fuse, Rimuru will also discuss about forming a possible trade alliance with the Kingdom of Bloomer in the future. In any case, the following morning, Triad, the younger sister of Trainee, will appear in Tempest with news that Charybdis has been resurrected and was now heading towards the Monster Nation. Rimuru then gathers his forces to prepare for the battle, and they were joined by the Pegasus Knights from Dragon as well. They proceeded to launch a full-scale attack on Charybdis, and Milim even offered to help destroy the creature, but Rimuru declined. Although after countless hours of fighting, Rimuru discovered that Charybdis was actually possessing Phobio, so he finally let Milim handle the matter and ordered her to spare Phobio. Afterwards, Rimuru healed Phobio's injuries and Karen will arrive in Tempest. He apologizes to Rimuru for the trouble that his subordinate has caused, so as repayment, he established a non-aggression pact with the Jura Tempest Federation. Also, Rimuru finally discovers that the issues they encountered recently were all caused by the Demon Lord claimant, and it was for this reason that Milim would actually leave Tempest, because she wanted to investigate and expose claimant's schemes. Having said that, following the victory against Charybdis, there was a big celebration in Tempest, and later that night Rimuru would dream about Shizue and the 5 other Worder children that she promised to save. So wanting to help Shizue resolve one of her lingering regrets, Rimuru would travel to the Kingdom of Ingratiate Uranga to learn more about these 5 children. After arriving in the city, Rimuru went to meet with the Guildmaster of the Freedom Association, Yuki Kagurazaka, who used to work with Shizue, but when he saw Rimuru's face, he quickly attacked, thinking that Rimuru had killed and stolen the face. They stopped fighting when Rimuru revealed that he was an other Worder and explained how he wanted to meet the other Worder children Shizue used to teach. Rimuru was then assigned to be a teacher at the Freedom Academy, and Yuki brought him to meet with Chloe Albert, Alice Rondo, Enya Misaki, Ryota Sekiguchi, and Gil Gibson, the children of Class S. Yuki also informed Rimuru that the children were dying due to magical poisoning because when they were summoned to the Tensura world, they did not manifest any skills and there was no way for them to release the extra magical energy stored within their souls. Regardless, the children were initially uninterested in listening to Rimuru, but after a brief sparring match and Rimuru promising to save them, they started to acknowledge him as their teacher. Furthermore, he eventually figured out a method to save the children. He planned on using greater spirits to fuse with the children, so he returned to Tempest and asked Trainee. She suggested that he should visit the dwelling of the spirits, but because Trainee no longer has access to the realm, she could not help Rimuru find it. Luckily, during a training session with the children outside Ingratia, Rimuru manages to save a merchant named Garb Mouse from a sky dragon, and because of this, Rimuru along with the children were invited to dinner by him. When the dinner ended, Rimuru was able to learn about the location of the dwelling from one of Guard's attendants, so the next day, he traveled to the Ugratia Republic with the children. They eventually found the gate into the dwelling, and once inside, they easily navigated through the maze. Rimuru will also fight against an elemental colossus, and after defeating the magic golem, he will meet the Demon Lord Ramorous, who was originally the fairy queen, so promising to make her a new golem in exchange for helping the children summon greater spirits. Ramorous leads them into the true dwelling of the spirits. The children then took turns summoning a spirit while Rimuru uses Gluttony and Degenerate to fuse them with the spirits. However, when it was Chloe's turn, she would summon a woman in white that Ramorous deemed to be dangerous, but seeing that Chloe was fine after the woman fused with her, Rimuru decides to ignore the matter. Nonetheless, the magic cube inside the children were now stabilized and the breakdown of their body have finally stopped, so as promised, Rimuru builds a magic doll for Ramorous and he will summon a greater demon to inhabit the body. With that, Rimuru returned to Ingratia with the children and he will leave for Tempest as well, but not before giving the children new robes as gifts, along with giving Shizu's anti-magic mask to Chloe for safekeeping. Then we are briefly shown Hinata Sakaguchi secretly observing Rimuru, and that's it for Season 1. Although there was an extra episode involving Shizu's mission to the Kingdom of Fleetwood, and this filler episode mainly explains how the Black Primordial Noir, or better known as Diablo, became interested in Rimuru after his encounter with Shizu's anti-magic mask during this mission. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this season 1 recap. For that time I got reincarnated as a slime. And remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button to be reminded when the recap for season 2 will come out. Also don't forget to give the video a like or share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe everyone.